We know that ERP systems should help employees as much as possible to add value for the organization. And if the company behind the ERP can't code the system to suggest values for all of the fields, just because that will be impossible just because the software is used by thousands of customers in different industries, then we should at least have a way to create different validations or substitutions to prevent end users from posting documents that have wrong data, such as wrong assignments to controlling objects, wrong dates, or wrong general ledger accounts, etc. Lucky for us, the ERP from SAP has many tools that we can use to check and correct financial documents before they can be posted. And in this lesson, we will show the steps to create a substitution to help in this regard. Actually, a substitution will constantly check for new documents, and before they are posted, it will check if some prerequisites are fulfilled. Those prerequisites, we set them in the definition of the substitution, and if they are met, then the system will replace the value of a given field with, for example, a constant value. That is the correct object that should be posted to. And well, to be clear, if the employee selects a wrong value for that field, then the system will correct the problem because the substitution will automatically replace the wrong value with the one that is correct. Let's start the steps to create a new substitution, and of course this is something that a consultant will have to create in the IMG. So we are already connected in the correct screen, and let's open the path for financial accounting. Financial accounting global settings, tools, validation and substitution, and here we have the transaction that we can use to create substitutions in accounting documents. So let's start this customizing transaction. And the first screen, well, this is just the transaction showing a list of all the company codes in which we could assign the different substitutions that we have already defined. That we have already created, but exactly this is what we are lacking right now because we haven't done the steps to create a substitution. So to get to that screen in which we can create our substitution, let's click on at the top with the environment menu, and here we have substitution. Now the system is showing the tool in which we can define the substitution, and at first we have to select the section in which we want to apply the substitution. So we have the header, we have the line item, or the complete document. For this example, we will use the line item, so we just select that option from the left hand side. On the right hand side, it's just a bit of documentation, just some help for the process, but it's better just if we show this. So let's to start actually the creation of the substitution, we have the bottom here at the top. So let's create a new substitution. And then in the right hand side, we have all the fields to start the definition of our new substitution. Of course, the first important thing is just to enter the ID for the new substitution. So we will enter just our ID. And in the description, let's delete the default description, and we will just enter substitution for profit center, like this. Everything else is correct. I mean, the application area, which is financial accounting, and the color point, which is the line item, are correct because well, we selected first the line item section here on the left hand side. So now we need to press enter, so we also get the information correctly updated on the left hand side on the tree, and of course also the information for the well, what is the user that created this, which is our user, and well, the time and the day and the time for the creation. Now to continue, we have to let's in this step, let's just save the definition of the just the skeleton of the substitution. So we have to come here, click save, it will just confirm that the save and the generation has been successfully completed. But actually, we still need to define the preconditions, the prerequisites, and the value for the substitution. So for this, we have to select the line for our substitution, and we have to create a step. So let's click the icon for to insert a new step. And then what happens is, well, the system will show up this pop-up in which we need, we have to look for the field that we want to substitute from the list of all the possible fields. So let's look for profit center. Okay, so now here we have it, profit center, and actually we have like the table and of course the field. So BSEG is the table, the BSEG, and PRCTR is the technical name of the field. So let's select that line. And let's just click choose. So now the system will show a second pop-up in which we can use this to select the method for the substitution. Actually, we have three possible methods. Probably the easiest one is just the constant value. With the constant value, we will just have a field in which we will enter a constant, and of course that is then the object that if the preconditions are met, that will be the valid value for the field. So regardless of what the user has entered, the system will just use this constant value. But of course we have user exit in which of course we need to have coding skills to create some sophisticated ways to have a substitution, and of course that is very powerful. But again, the downside is that we need to have some coding skills, or of course we can just like have, if we have someone in the team that has a good understanding and abilities with coding, we could create a nice exit there. But we have the last option in which it's called a field to field assignment, and this is also interesting. What this option will do is that it will check other field of the document that we define. For example, maybe we could say check the assignment field, and whatever we have in the assignment field should be like used for the substitution, and that value should be used as the profit center. So I mean, in some scenarios that would be useful. That is exactly the method that we would like, but not for this example. In this example, we went like the easiest method, which is just constant value. So with the line selected, let's just click continue. And we could enter just another description for the field. Actually, we will enter something very similar. And now let's click the prerequisite line. Now we have want to ask from you to just to pay attention and focus on the bottom section, in which right now we only have one column and it's just the short description. But we'll later add another second column just to have the technical names. And for this, we have to click here on the right hand side, the technical name on off. So right now it's turned off, but we just have to click here and we will have the technical names. This is nice because, for example, the definition that we will run in the coming steps, it's using some fields that we have in the document segment, which is the BSEG table. So actually, let's just double click that line. And before we start anything with the definition of the prerequisite, we just want again to ask that you should please focus on the top section, because it's the editor of the formula, and everything is empty right now. This is fine because when we start entering the definition of the formula, when we just start entering that definition of this formula, we will not type anything. SAP created this tool so that it prevents typing. End users cannot type directly. This is just because when we save a substitution, actually the system will read the definition that we have entered, and it will actually create ABAP coding automatically, which is just, I mean, it will be like a little program that will be constantly running every time we have a document, and it will analyze the prerequisite, and if that settings of the prerequisite are fulfilled in the document that some user is trying to post, then the substitution will be activated and it will come into play, so it will replace the value. So we cannot allow for any errors in the syntaxes, what we call the syntaxes. For example, we'll use parentheses, for example, and they should be open and closed correctly. Also, when we have like a constant value, if it's like text, it should be like with apostrophe, like the single comma. And again, if we were allowed to type, or the users were allowed to type, then probably I mean, we are humans, so we will skip maybe some of these things. But of course, as you probably know, computers will not understand. If the computer will just fail, the program will just fail to create the ABAP coding correctly if we miss some of these syntax values. So that's the reason we cannot type, and we only use the bottom section to enter the values. So well, the first thing is we will open parentheses here, because we will have like multiple conditions. So well, to group them, we will open first a parenthesis, and in our BSEC, let's look for the GL account field. Okay, so here we have it. Of course, we can also use just to double check, we can use the technical name, which is the BSEG dash HKONT. So the table, and this is the technical name of the field. And well, now that we have located this, we just have to double click the line, and immediately the ID will come up here at the top. So as we were saying, it's impossible just to have errors, or to just have problems, because we cannot even type here at the top. It's all done with this left panel and right panel, in which we have the actions and, well, the constant values, or the even sets that we will check a bit later. Right now, what we want is just let's continue, and we need to add the equal sign. So we just click here, equal, and everything that is not relevant gets grayed out, and the constant, for example, which is something that is relevant, gets activated. So let's click constant, and now we have this pop-up in which we can enter the ID of the GL account that, well, if the user is posting to the GL account, the system should replace the whatever we have in the Profit Center field with the Profit Center YB600. So well, let's enter the ID of the first account, because we'll check two accounts. The first one is domestic revenues. So let's enter the ID, which is 4100500. Okay, this is like domestic revenue. Well, let's just accept the ID of the first account with enter, and as you can see, the system has already added the correct value here. But what is really interesting is we have like this little apostrophe at the start and at the end, because again, that is technically it's necessary for the system, but the system already adds this for us. So then later, when we save, the program can correctly generate ABAP coding for the checking of the prerequisite and the substitution. So well, now that we have done this, we want to check another account. So let's click OR. So we have a second condition there. So the GL account should be this account for 100,500 or another account. So to add a second setting, a second GL account master record, we have to double click again GL account. Now we have it here at the top. And actually, we need to repeat kind of the steps. So that just means we need to click again on the plus, on the equals sign. And then again we need to click constant, of course. So let's click on that one. Okay, and well, again this pop-up is showing up, and we will enter the ID of the next GL account, which is that we want to check, which is 41001000, which is revenues, foreign revenues. So we're just saying if someone is posting revenues, even if it's domestic or if it's foreign, the precondition will be met, and probably the profit center should be a constant value that will define in the next step here. But well, first let's finish this. So let's just click continue, and we will close the first set of conditions with a parenthesis. But we have, or we want another thing to be checked, which is the tax code. So also it's going to depend on the tax code. If we have some tax codes with that the user is posting with these accounts as well, then the substitution will be correct, and the profit center will be a constant. So well, to add a second set of conditions, we need to click and here at the bottom to add the next one. We just want to call your attention, for example, right now, I mean the green light, the traffic light, sorry, it's not green, it's yellow, and well, that just means that it's correct, but we are still missing some things, so it's incomplete. And well, if we had red, maybe it's just because we did something wrong, I mean like we haven't entered something or it's something wrong, and we could not save it because the system could not create correctly the coding. But actually, well, to start the definition of the like the other set of conditions, let's open a parenthesis again. And now we have to look for the tax code. So in the list here, let's just scroll down a bit more. Okay. And well, we have located the tax code with the correct technical name that we want to use, which is the MWSK set. So we have, now that we have located this, just let's double click on that one, and we will have it here at the top. And of course, now let's click equals to enter a constant for this tax code. So let's click constant. And then, well, the pop-up will show up. Let's use the match code to select the first tax code that we want to check, which is the one that has the ID 10. So 10 for output, and it's the tax code at 10%. So let's just select that one and accept the constant here. So it gets added here. But we also want to check a second one. So for this, let's click OR. Then of course, again, we need to double click the tax code line here. And we basically repeat the steps. So equals a constant. And well, the second tax code, it's the AO tax code. So let's just use the match code, and we want also this one, which is the 0% output tax non-taxable. So let's double click on that one and accept the constant. And well, that's pretty much it for the definition. But well, let's we still need to close the parentheses to get like the correct and complete status. So once we click on that, we have the correct and complete. And well, again, what we're saying is that if a user is posting to the domestic revenue or the foreign revenue, and the tax code is either 10 or A0, A0, that just means that well, all the prerequisites are being met, and the profit center should be, well, the constant that we will enter, which is YB600. But to actually enter the value for the constant, let's double click the substitutions line here on the left, because here we will have the field and the constant value that we can set up. So let's come here to constant value and let's enter YB600. That is the ID of the profit center that again will always be replaced in that document, because this is the correct profit center when we have those kind of revenue postings with those tax codes. So this with this we have finished the definition of the substitution. So let's just click save. But I wanted to just to ask you that you should pay attention here at the message, because as you will see, actually the system is creating the ABAP code like behind the curtains automatically. So well, it's really interesting, right? It's like a system, like a program creating another program, like a little program. So well, this is again really interesting, and something that we have achieved now. Well, the SAP teams, they have achieved this kind of intelligent creation, or dynamic creation to say it better. And well, with this, now it's just saying that the save and the generation of that ABAP coding is successfully completed. So now we have finished, and let's finish with the lesson, inviting you to check the next one, in which we will simulate the substitution.